Alright, so to wrap up our discussion on conduction and convection, we're going to talk specifically with conduction here, and we're going to talk about something called U value, which is the coefficient of heat conductivity. This coefficient is the measure of a material's ability to conduct heat. And the way you calculate U value is you take power or rate of energy transfer divided by the area of that material times your change in temperature in degrees Celsius. So in the metric system we have watts per meter squared divided by, watts per meter squared times degrees Celsius. And in the US system we have BTUs divided by feet squared per hour, or times hours times degrees Fahrenheit. The reason they have time BTUs per hour here is BTUs per hour would be your watts, which would be joules per hour in the metric system. Anyway, U value you probably haven't really heard of. Some of you maybe even haven't heard of the next thing, but more commonly what we hear is called R value. R value is used in building materials, and it's the inverse of U value. Technically, and it is the measure of a material's ability to resist heat transfer. So the thermal resistance of a material would be the R value. The higher the R value, the higher the resistance. And again, R is equal to 1 over U. So if you take the inverse of U value, if U value is P over A times delta T, R value is A delta T divided by P, is all it is. And if you have a bunch of materials stacked on top of each other, to get the total R value of an object, you simply add them all together. So our example is pretty simple, but we'll go through it here. If we have this wall cavity on the left side here, this is drywall or sheetrock, like the inside of your house. Behind your sheetrock, you would have some sort of insulation. On the outside of your house, you have some sort of other material. What is that? Polyisocyanurate, some other kind of insulation material. And then let's say you have a brick house, you have brick on top of that. Well, what you need to know is you need to know how thick that material is, and you need to know the R value of that material. And then every so often in a wall, you're going to have a piece of wood or a board, 2x6 construction. So in this, they're asking you, what's the R value of this section here if you're going through this part with no board, and also what's the R value of this section here if you're going through with a board. So what you do is you simply add them all up to get an R value of 27.7. On the stud location, add them all up, R value of 15.6. Again, R values are pretty standard. They give you the values in a chart. This will be in your notes, and your chart will be there, and you just have to take them and add them all together. Pretty straightforward.